And we're gonna top that with a little cream fraiche.
Oh, yeah.
That's right, today we're going to be making some butternut soup with spaghetti squash tots. But first we're going to start off by making some delicious, tangy creme fraiche. But it takes 2 days to prep, so we're going to get for rock and rolling on this first. All you need is 2 cups of heavy whipping cream and 3 tablespoons of cultured buttermilk. Pour it in a bowl or a large jar and mix it around. Then wrap some cheesecloth or some paper towel around the top using a rubber band to keep it all nice and tight-like. Then set it on the counter for a full day to let those cultures work with the cream. Then the next day, remove the cover and give it a little old mix-a-rooney-roo. Once that small-town country cream has a little bit of culture in its life, seal it up tightly, pop it in the fridge. I couldn't find my lid, so I'm just using some plastic wrap and another rubber band. Once soup day has finally arrived, pour the mixture into a bowl and grate in some fresh nutmeg. Mix that in, and you can whisk it around even more if you want it to get a little thicker. Or don't. I don't care. The flavor's what matters. So good, nice and creamy. And guess what? 2 days and 2 minutes of actual work later, we have our very own homemade crème fraîche. Now we have one more thing to prep that also has a fancy name. Bouquet garni. Go ahead, say it with me. Bouquet garni. Bouquet garni. Or bucket garni. Popst bleu rebond. It doesn't matter. What matters is putting thyme, parsley, and bay leaves in some cheesecloth and wrapping it with some butcher's twine. Not the stuff that you keep in your garage. That's icky. We're going to make 2 bouquets today. One for our stock and one for our soup, which is why my work surface is so messy. First, spread out your cloth and add your bay leaves. Then break your thyme in half as well as your parsley. Then bring all your herbs to one end and start rolling it on out. Next, take your twine, twist a tie at the tail end, then take your twine and twirl it around to the top of your bouquet. Go ahead and trim the twine with at least a foot hanging off. This will make it easier to remove the bouquet after use. Then start running the tail through the wrappings a few times so it stays in place well enough to swing around. You know what they say.
Don't mean a thing if you ain't got that swing.
Now let's take stock of our stock ingredients. We'll need 2 large carrots, 1 big-ass parsnip, 1 bulb of fennel, 1 leek with the green removed, 4 medium small onions, 1 whole bulb of garlic, and of course, our bouquet garni. Go ahead and start cutting them on up. It doesn't matter the size, but the smaller you cut the vegetables, the shorter the cook time. I'm cutting them a little larger so I can start working on them tots we'll be talking about later. Once that's all done, put your veg into a stock pot and fill that bad boy up with some water. Then add your bouquet garni, making sure it's submerged. Put on a lid and bring it to a boil. The footage is missing from this part, so here's some kittens sneezing. Once it's boiling, bring it down to a simmer and let it sit for about 2 hours or until the vegetables are thoroughly softened. Usually you'll have impurities rise to the top from the vegetable skin. When that happens, just use a spoon or a mesh strainer to remove those impurities. But since I flayed off all the skin, I was left with a beautiful, delicious, clear stock. Go ahead, put that in your mug and sip it. Now that our stock is done, we're going to start working on the actual soup ingredients. The primary one of which is, butternut squash. What else? We're going to start off by separating the butt from the neck and split the butt right down the middle. Remove the gunk that's in the butt, then lube up that butt with some olive oil and stuff a sage leaf or 2 into the hole. Finally, flip it over, face down, butt up, and pop it in the oven at 350 degrees for about an hour, or until you can easily penetrate that butt with a paring knife. Next, we're going to peel the skin off the neck and remove the little nipple at the top, getting it ready for our soup ingredients, which will include 1 whole butternut squash, 1/4 cup of honey, optional, 1 leek, green removed, some good quality maple syrup, also optional, 2 large carrots, 2 medium shallots, 3 medium Vidalia onions, a nice pinch of saffron, and 6 cloves of garlic. We're going to go ahead and cube up the squash. Start by cutting it into, boards, and then cut them into strips, and finally, into cubes. Everything else will be slicing into thin, little old pieces. But the garlic, let me show you a trick about prepping garlic. Lay down your peeled garlic, place the flat side of your knife on top, and then gently whack the hell out of it. You can chop it if you want, but we're going to blend it anyway, so we're good to go. Once all the vegetables are cut up, pour in about 1/4 cup of canola oil into a pot over medium heat, and then add in your vegetables, stirring them occasionally. In about 10 minutes or so, they'll be softened and the onions will become beautiful and translucent, and it's going to smell real good. Once everything's all soft and pretty, reduce the heat down to medium-low and pour in about 6 cups of our vegetable stock. Add in the saffron and let that cook for another 10-15 minutes. Oh, that sure is looking good, isn't it, jabroni? Oh, no, don't touch it, it's hot. If you want to taste it, grab a spoon. Well, how does it taste, jabroni?
Oh my God! Jeez!
Holy sh! That's good enough just now. Wow. Who's calling?
It's flavor, jabroni. Flavor's calling. Go ahead and throw in your bouquet garni as well as all of your roasty, squishy butt. Mix it around and turn that down to a simmer for 30 minutes. After that, take out your bouquet and bring out your blender to blend in batches. The following footage could not be found, so here's Gene Simmons breathing fire. Man, that was neat, huh? Once everything is pureed, pour it into the pot you had your veggies in, and then taste for seasoning. I'm tasting it, the flavor is beautiful. I'm just gonna add a little bit of salt and a spoonful or two of granulated sugar as opposed to adding the honey and syrup that I showed in the ingredients. You can certainly add those, it'll be great. I just want the flavor of the vegetables shining through. Now you can refine the texture of this soup by running it through a fine mesh sieve, but I like the texture of it with everything just pureed together, so I'm leaving it as is. And guess what? We are done. Now it's time to start talking about our tots. We're going to be using spaghetti squash for these tots. Just start cutting the squash into circles and remove the seeds. Drizzle on a bit of olive oil, then season with some sprinkles of salt and some cracks of fresh pepper. Then pop them into a 425-degree oven for 20 to 30 minutes, or until you can easily pull out those stringy meaties. Now we want to get as much liquid out as we can, so we're going to squeeze the squash through a cheesecloth. This part is a bit labor-intensive, but removing as much liquid as we can will help keep our tots from being soggy. Nobody wants soggy tots, that's stupid. So when you're done with the cloth, go ahead and finish it off by spreading out the stringy meaties onto some paper towel and then patting it down with another. This next part is optional, but I'm going to thinly slice some shallots to mix in with the squash. If you're out of shallots, garlic and onion will work just fine, very similar flavors. Then give it some good rough chops to break it down a little bit more, and then it's time to get cooking. Grab a teeny tiny cupcake dish and spray that down with some cooking oil. Then scoop in your tot mixture and start flattening them out. Flatten them out. Next, pop them into a 450-degree oven for 10 minutes until they get nice and crisp. And what is this? They're squishy. F it, we're frying these. Pour some canola oil into a pan over medium heat and then lay down those tots. Cook them for about 3 to 5 minutes until they're nice and that's what daddy likes, oh yeah. Just cook them for another 2 to 3 minutes on the other side until you have a nice, well-rounded crispness. This one, though, didn't really end up too round, so let's go ahead and give this one a taste. Oh man, it's all perfect. So let's go ahead and start plating this on up. Go ahead and scoop the soup into a bowl and lay out your tots all nice and pretty. But don't forget to drizzle on some of our delicious homemade creme fraiche. Now we can stop there, but I have some candied nuts and some fried sage, whose footage is also missing. But what isn't missing is massive amounts of incredible flavor. Oh man, that soup has such a beautiful warmth to it that it warms more than just your mouth. It warms your soul. The nuts add a beautiful texture and wonderful little sweetness. And that homemade creme fraiche, ooh, that adds some nice zing. And you know what they say about zing, right?
This soup's so good, all you wanna do is sing. We spent some time making ourselves a veggie stock, pureed with some veggies, then dipped in all our tots. So it don't mean a thing if you don't add that cream. Oh, thank you very much, everybody. Make sure to tip your waitresses and come on back if you smell what Farah is cooking.